I never thought moving in together would feel so much like redrawing a blueprint from scratch. In my head, this tiny studio apartment, with its faded white walls and the one big window overlooking the bustle of a Seattle street, was supposed to be our clean start. No more cramped dorm with that strip of blue painter's tape running down the middle of the floor like a DMZ between our beds. No more rainy nights with water drumming on the metal roof while Miles left little sticky notes on my laptop screen in the dark. Now everything was ours. Ours. Just thinking the word made my heart skip half a beat. That morning the summer sun slipped through the sheer curtains and painted gold stripes across the worn hardwood. We'd rented a beat-up cargo van off Craigslist. The kind Miles swore was cheaper than Uber, even though I knew he just wanted an excuse to drive and show off his non-existent parallel parking skills. Cardboard boxes were piled by the door like a chaotic stack of rejected floor plans. I knelt next to one, pulling out the heavy architecture books, Alain de Botton's The Architecture of Happiness, my old sketchbook with that one drawing of Miles I still kept like a private talisman. The smell of old paper and street dust hit me. I sneezed, then laughed to myself. Funny how that 30-centimeter gap we used to obsess over had finally disappeared for good. Miles came up behind me holding 2 sweating iced coffees and a paper bag from the deli on the corner. He was in his faded Longhorns tee, knee-ripped denim shorts, hair a wind-blown mess from the drive. "Hey, architect," he drawled in that slow Texas way, grin wide like moving day with some grand adventure. "Eat something before you keel over in the middle of all these boxes. I've moved 3 times in Austin, but none of them ever felt this good." I took the turkey sandwich, bit in, and nodded, trying to hide the nervous flutter in my chest. Good? Sure, for Miles it probably was. He had this gift for turning the ordinary into something worth remembering, like the way he used to turn scraps of notebook paper into quiet love letters. But for me, everything still felt new and unsteady. The dorm had been safe. Even after we erased the boundaries, there were still edges. This place demanded real merging. The kitchen was barely bigger than a small table. The bed was a creaky thrift store mattress we'd tested last night, springs groaning under us while we laughed like idiots. I'd pictured it being more romantic, us curled under blankets, whispering about the future. Reality was just a bed, and the thought of sharing it every single night left me excited and terrified. We got to work after the quick lunch. Miles took the books, stacking them on the cheap IKEA shelf we'd wrestled together the night before, both of us cracking up when screws kept dropping like confetti. I watched him from the corner, holding the little wooden model house I'd built from popsicle sticks, then set it next to his stack. His old Rolling Stone magazines sat shoulder to shoulder with Le Corbusier, The Poetics of Machine and Metaphor. It looked weird at first, not messy chaos, but quiet collision. His world of music and journalism bumping up against the clean lines and precise angles of mine. Like our 2 universes were finally learning how to weave together, one thread at a time. "Liam, what do you think about putting the national poster right here?" Miles asked, holding up the rolled tube from his box. His voice was casual, but I caught the tiny hesitation. He always checked with me like my opinion was the final draft. I scanned the room. Blank white walls, empty shelves. The space between us now just a few footsteps. "Yeah, hang it. It'll brighten the place up," I said, sounding calmer than I felt. Truth was, I was already picturing exactly where. Next to my drafting table where the afternoon light hits? Or closer to the bed so we'd wake up to it every morning and remember those late dorm nights. He grinned, climbed onto the step stool, and taped it up. I kept unpacking clothes into the narrow closet. His gray hoodie hanging beside my white button-downs, cedar scent mixing with my fabric softener. Every item was a reminder. We weren't separate anymore. But when I sat on the edge of the bed to test it again, the springs squeaked under me. A small worry crept in. Would we crowd each other every night? Would my habit of staying up late sketching, muttering about setback lines and golden ratios drive him crazy? Miles was an early riser, black coffee, NPR on low. I needed quiet, space to breathe. Miles hopped down from the stool, wiped his hands on his shorts, and dropped onto the mattress beside me. Another creak. He laughed under his breath, shoulder brushing mine. Sounds like the bed's telling stories. Yo, these two dudes are way too heavy. He tilted his head, eyes catching the sunlight, sparkling. I felt the warmth rolling off him, the faint salty smell of sweat from hauling boxes, and just like that, the worry eased a fraction. I leaned my head on his shoulder, just for a second, but long enough to feel solid ground. It'll be fine, I whispered, more to myself than to him. It's just different from the dorm. No more boundaries. He didn't answer right away. Instead, his hand found mine, thumb stroking slow circles over my knuckles. The same gentle move from the Portland bus. From the nights he ran fever and gripped my fingers like a lifeline. Yeah, he said, voice low and warm. But you know what, Liam? That's my favorite part. No boundaries. Just us. I looked up into his eyes and saw the patience there. The same patience he'd given me since day one, when he walked into our room with that smile that made me forget the tape line on the floor. We worked until late afternoon, when the light turned soft orange and the street below started humming with rush hour traffic. The boxes were mostly empty now, just hollow shells on the floor waiting to be broken down. I stood in the middle of the room, still holding the little model house, watching Miles slide the last book onto the shelf. The collision didn't feel strange anymore. It felt like an early sketch, two separate lines starting to merge into something stronger, more whole. By dusk we collapsed onto the bare mattress. No sheets yet, just the old comforter, hands linked, listening to the city murmur outside. My heartbeat steadied. No more jitters. This was home. Not because of the white walls or the creaky bed, but because Miles was here, his breathing syncing with mine. And maybe redrawing this blueprint wouldn't be as hard as I'd feared. Not if we did it together, line by line. Just us. Mornings in the new apartment quickly became my favorite time of day, even though everything still felt a little foreign. Every time I opened my eyes, it took a few seconds for my brain to catch up. No more dorm, no more blue tape lying down the middle of the floor. Just sunlight slipping through the thin curtains, stretching long gold stripes across the hardwood, and the slow wake-up sounds of Seattle drifting in. Distant traffic, sparrows chattering on the railing, and the first faint smell of coffee drifting from our tiny kitchen nook. Today was my official first day of the internship at the local architecture studio, a small outfit with a solid rep for sustainable projects and urban adaptive reuse. I woke at 5:45 because my head needs at least an hour of quiet to organize itself before I face the world. I sat up, feet hitting the cold floor, and heard Miles already moving in the kitchen. He's always up before me, the soft hiss of the coffee maker mixing with the low murmur of NPR's Morning Edition. I padded out of the bedroom and found him leaning against the counter, black coffee in hand, hair a beautiful disaster, but his eyes lit up the second he saw me. That smile, immediate, wide, effortless, hit me like warm sunlight. He set his mug down, poured a second one, exactly the way I like it, splash of milk and a spoonful of brown sugar, and held it out. "Morning, architect," he drawled in that familiar Texas pull, voice soft and full of warmth. "Big day for you. Coffee's ready." I took the mug, our shoulders brushing as I stepped closer. "Thanks. I'm kinda nervous." Miles gave a quiet laugh that vibrated right next to me. "You're gonna be fine. You're Liam, the guy who draws the most beautiful plans I've ever seen. They're gonna be stunned." He didn't let go right away. Instead, his arm slid around my waist from behind, loose but steady, like he knew I needed the anchor. I could feel his heartbeat against my back. Slow, sure, grounding. Nothing dramatic, no movie script lines. Just him, solid and calm, reminding me I wasn't walking into this alone. He took a sip of his own coffee, then turned so we were facing each other. "You know," he said quietly, "I don't get up this early because I'm a morning person. I do it because I like watching you get ready for the day. The way you focus, the little lip bite when you're packing your bag, that tiny sigh when everything's finally in place. It settles me." My mug froze halfway to my mouth. My heart gave a hard thud. Miles had this way of saying the simplest things and making them land right in the softest parts of me. I looked up into his eyes, warm in the early light, and felt something loosen in my chest. "You don't have to wake up early for me," I whispered. "But I want to," he said, then leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. No rush, no demand. Just the gentle warmth of his lips lingering long enough for me to feel his breath. "You're gonna kill it today. And tonight when you get home, I'll be right here. Maybe I'll make turkey sandwiches, or maybe I'll just sit and listen to you talk about every single thing that happened. Either way, I'm here." I leaned my head against his shoulder again, closed my eyes, and breathed in coffee and him. That moment. Two of us in the cramped kitchen, morning light spilling across the old windows, NPR humming low, felt like our own private quiet symphony. Nothing loud, nothing flashy. Just the slow, steady rhythm of a love learning how to live side by side. We stood like that for a long time, shoulders touching, coffee cooling in our hands. I thought about those dorm mornings. Me whispering setback calculations to myself while Miles slept soundly on the other side of the tape. Now there was no distance. And strangely, I wasn't afraid of the closeness anymore. It didn't suffocate me. It made me feel steadier. When I finally set my mug down to go change, Miles stayed where he was, watching me with that soft smile. "Have a good day at work, architect." I turned back, smiling. "Come home early, journalist." He nodded, and I knew no matter how the day went, no matter how tough the studio was, when I pushed open the door tonight, he'd still be here. With coffee, with that smile, with the familiar warmth. And that alone was enough to walk out without shaking. This little apartment, with its ancient coffee maker and creaky box spring bed, was slowly turning into home. Not because of the walls or the furniture, but because every morning Miles still got up early to make my coffee. And because, for the first time, I didn't want any distance at all. Saturday night, the apartment felt smaller than ever. Not because of the furniture, we still didn't have enough chairs, but because of the laughter, the lo-fi beats pulsing from the Bluetooth speaker, and the smell of pepperoni pizza filling every corner. Our first real housewarming. Nothing big, just a handful of close friends from school. Natalie from Miles's journalism classes, Alex and Mia, the architecture couple I used to group project with, and a couple guys Miles knew from pickup basketball. We spread an old rug on the floor, tossed down pillows for extra seating, strung up the cheap LED fairy lights Miles scored at Target. Not fancy, just warm, exactly like everything we were building. I stood in the kitchen corner, cold soda can sweating in my hand, watching Miles move through the small crowd like he was born for it, laughing loud, slapping Alex on the back, retelling the IKEA shelf disaster that almost took out half the room. Everyone cracked up, and I felt the knot in my chest loosen a little. The party had been his idea. "We need to mark the move, Liam. Nothing crazy, just friends, pizza, good music." I'd agreed, even though part of me was still braced. What if someone asked about us? What if I had to explain? What if I froze? Miles came back over, balancing 2 paper plates with pizza slices. He handed me one, then leaned against the counter beside me, shoulder to shoulder like always. "You good?" he asked low, just for me, under the music. I nodded, took a bite. "Yeah, just more people than I'm used to." He smiled, eyes catching the string lights. "I know, but you're doing great. Everyone likes you." Before I could answer, Natalie bounced over, hair in a high ponytail, plastic cup of beer in hand. She gave Miles a quick hug, then turned to me with a huge grin. "Liam, finally meeting you in person instead of through Miles's group chat pics. This place is adorable. You two have it looking so put together already." I managed a half smile, nodded. "Thanks. We're still figuring it out." Natalie tilted her head, glancing between us. "So you two are?" She trailed off, but the curiosity was unmistakable. Miles didn't hesitate. He slid his arm around my shoulders, pulled me in just a fraction, casual, easy, but unmistakable. "This is Liam, my boyfriend," he said, tone as relaxed as if he were commenting on the weather. Liam, this is Natalie, the one who sends memes at 3 a.m. Natalie burst out laughing and clapped. Boyfriend. Finally official. Congrats, you guys. You look perfect together. The word boyfriend dropped so simply from Miles's mouth, but it hit me like a current straight down my spine. My heart slammed hard enough I was sure everyone could hear it. Boyfriend. Not roommate. Not best friend. Not the guy I live with. Boyfriend. The label, plain, clear, out loud, made my face burn. I ducked my head, pretended to focus on the pizza to hide the stupid grin spreading across my face. Miles gave my shoulder a gentle squeeze, like he could feel the tremor running through me. He didn't make a big deal of it, just kept talking to Natalie about the article he was working on. But his hand stayed right there, thumb brushing slow circles, a quiet reminder. I'm here. You don't have to hide anymore. After that, the questions came, but they were easy. Alex slapped my back, grinning, finally admitting it. Liam? We all called it months ago. Mia hugged me tight and whispered, you look happier than I've ever seen you. Miles is lucky. Every congrats, every shoulder pat, every smile. They made me feel seen. Not something tucked away in a dorm room, something real out in the open. And everyone was okay with it. Later, when the music slowed to the national playlist Miles still loved, I tugged him out onto the tiny balcony. Seattle night air was cool, carrying a faint salt tang from the sound. We leaned on the railing, shoulders touching, looking down at the gold streetlights. You called me your boyfriend, I said softly, voice shaking just a little with feeling. First time in front of people. Miles turned, eyes steady on mine. Yeah, I wanted to. You didn't like it. I shook my head fast. No, I loved it. It's just, I'm not used to it yet. Feels more real. No more pretending we're just roommates. He smiled, lifted his hand to brush my cheek, warm fingers against the night chill. You don't have to pretend anything anymore, Liam. We're real. From the day I walked into that dorm and saw the blue tape on the floor, I knew. And now everyone else knows too. Nothing left to hide. I rested my head on his shoulder, closed my eyes, breathed in the night. Music drifted out from the apartment, friends laughing, cars passing below. It all wove together into the background score for this exact second. For the first time, I wasn't scared when someone called him my boyfriend. No worry about side eyes or judgment. Just relief, like the very last shell had cracked open and fallen away. Miles kissed the top of my head, murmured, thanks for being here. With me. With everyone. I squeezed his hand tighter. Thanks for saying it out loud. Boyfriend. He chuckled, the sound rumbling in his chest. Sounds good, doesn't it? I like it. We stayed out there a while longer, wind moving past us, and I thought, maybe the word isn't just a word. It's a step, from quiet notes in the dark, from half-asleep hand-holding on the bus, to standing in a room full of friends and saying it plain. This is the person I love. When we went back inside, hands still linked, I wasn't shy anymore. I smiled at everyone, let them slap my back, let them congratulate us. And for the first time, I felt like I belonged here. Not just in the apartment, not just in Seattle, but in the world Miles and I were building together. Boyfriend wasn't scary or new anymore. It was part of me now, and I liked it way more than I ever expected.